Hey guys, in this week's Torah portion, Parsha Shemot, we meet two very different characters, polar opposites. We have Moses and Pharaoh. Moses, who went on to do amazing things in this world, and Pharaoh, who did some of the most despicable. Moses served God, Pharaoh proclaimed himself as a god. How did they end up on these life paths? Well, Pharaoh was one of the modern, original architects, I should say, of anti-Semitism. The Torah says that if a new Pharaoh came to power who didn't know who Joseph was. Not everyone in Egypt knew who Joseph was, even this Pharaoh. Joseph had saved the entire country from a famine. His entire family were celebrities. But Pharaoh proclaimed himself as a god. He wasn't going to be indebted to Joseph and his family and the Jewish people and all that they contributed to society. No, he knew the quickest way to power was to create an enemy and then focus yourself on its destruction. That's what he did. Once Joseph passed away, he just pretended like they didn't do anything. Pretended like he didn't know who they were. All their accomplishments, all their contributions. And then he dehumanized them. The Torah says that Pharaoh referred to the Jewish people as it. It will join our enemies. He knew that if he could convince the Egyptians, the Egyptian nation, that the Jews were not just second-class citizens, but they were actually inferior humans, that it was good versus evil, then everything was on the table. If he could dehumanize them as less than, slavery, torture, oppression, everything was an option. That's the my way or the highway. Pharaoh was a totally selfish person. And you have Moses, who was a shepherd. Little sheep ran away. He noticed, and he ran after it. He had tons of sheep. How did he notice? Because that was Moses' whole life. He grew up in a palace separated from everyone. A prince. He left the palace. He immediately noticed the suffering of a Jewish person and came to his rescue. Then he had to run away. He came to the land of Midian. Sees a group of women being harassed by the shepherds. He immediately came to their rescue. And then when the little sheep ran away, he immediately noticed. And there was the burning bush. And God said, Moses, I have a mission for you. And Moses answered, Hineni, here I am. Because his whole life, Moses was always noticing what another person needed. Other people suffering, what they were lacking. Wasn't worried about himself. And that's why he was able to go on to do amazing things. You know, in life, we're bombarded by tons of news and a lot of it negative. And we can become numb to just everything that's going on around us. But we risk, when that happens, not noticing somebody else's suffering. And when something gets overlooked, it can fester until it blows up. Because people do not like to have their pain go unnoticed. So we have to take a moment to say, what's going on around me? Let's not become numb to everything that happens around us. Let's always think outside of ourselves. What can I do to help somebody else? Moses did that, and he went on to become the greatest leader in history. Pharaoh was a leader of the self. His most important thing was himself, and he ended up with nothing. When we're faced with a decision, what will we see? Shabbat Shalom.